Well, I'm thinking Donald Trump's defense lawyers are going to put in a new call for a dismissal in Fulton County, and the entire argument is just going to be AOC saying RICO is not a crime, since they're charging him with RICO. Yeah, the meltdowns yesterday on Capitol Hill during the BOBULISNKI hearing were glorious. So we're going to show you the best of the best, or is it worst, in just a moment. Speaking of the best of the best, Senator John Kennedy with count them, two epic inquisitions of woke Democrat witnesses before his committee. And you're going to love every second of that. And the insanity of Black Lives Matters protesters going after Kyle Rittenhouse during a college speaking tour yesterday. We'll give you the very ugly scenes there. We're brought to you by the Electronic Payments Coalition. My name's Larry O'Connor. You can call me Larry. Streaming live here at noon Eastern on the mighty Rumble video platform. And if you're watching us now, thank you. And make sure you like and subscribe and leave some comments for us if you don't mind. We do love seeing them. And sometimes if your comment is really atrocious and completely offensive, well, we'll put it up on the screen. Also, if you're watching us after the fact, hey, come on over, check us out live sometimes. But whatever video you're watching right now, wherever it is, please leave us comments there. Share it, like it, subscribe to the platform that you're on right now, because it really helps increase the visibility of our show. And we appreciate that support, including the audio podcast at Apple and Spotify. So yesterday during the show, we saw the Tony Bobulinski testimony going on in the Biden impeachment hearing over at the Oversight Committee. We reported on a ton of it on the fly as it was happening. And I remember ending the segment saying, you know what, listen, I'm sure we'll have some stuff tomorrow. And we do. And we've got a series of Democrats just losing their minds yesterday. And we're going to let most of these videos play in their entirety. But I just want you to know going in that there's a lesson to be learned here. You remember when Obama was attacked during his presidency, if you do, you know, they had sort of a thing. The whole way of Obama sort of handling those attacks was always like this. Remember that old meme? It's like, you mean nothing to me. I'm going to brush you off. You're like a piece of lint on my suit, right? And actually, I got to tell you, that's a very smart way to handle these things. It sends the message that there's no there. It sends the message that this is all trivial. It means nothing. Not only does it not rattle me, but no one watching this stuff should be even bothered by it, because it's such a fraud. It's so fake, and it's so infinitesimal in terms of the reality of the situation we're facing right now. That's just... So bear that in mind as you see how these Democrats yesterday reacted to Tony Bobulinski, the man who was in the room and part of the entire Biden racketeering mafia operation. They were doing everything but. Let's start with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's one for the books.
Mr. Bobulinski, I heard your opening statement. It's submitted to the record, part of our proceedings. I have a quick question. Simple. Is it your testimony today that you personally witnessed President Joe Biden commit a crime?
I believe the fact that he was sitting with me while I was putting together a business
deal. Did you
deal,
witness the president commit a crime? Is it your testimony today?
Yes.
And what crime do you have you witnessed?
How much time do I have to go through it?
It is simple. You name the crime. Did you watch him steal something?
Corruption statutes, RICO and conspiracy.
What is it? What is the crime, sir?
You
specifically.
You asked me to answer the question. I answered the question.
No.
RICO, you're obviously not familiar with. Corruption
Excuse
statutes.
me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. RICO is not a crime. It is a category. What is the
It's a category of crimes that you're then charged.
You have charges.
A long 100.
You have charges, sir. Please
want me to name the exact statute under RICO?
Yes.
Well, it's funny. In this committee room, everyone's not here. There's over 18
all right, sir. I reclaim my
lawyers
time.
that went to law school.
I reclaim my time.
You guys
okay,
to
thank
define
you,
the
sir.
statute
I reclaim my time.
RICO.
Clearly, what we are seeing here today is a continuation of the 15-month saga of the Republican majority lost in the desert. Impeachment 101. The majority party, or whomever is raising impeachment, must accuse the president of a high crime, a specific high crime or misdemeanor. I would like to submit to the record HRES 918, the House resolution to open this impeachment inquiry.
Without objection to order.
This resolution does not outline a high crime or misdemeanor. It's not here. Now, when we compare the chairman's opening from his previous opening, he's talking about Ukraine and Burisma and all of this. This entire inquiry is based on a blockbuster piece of information that was in a classified SCIF room. And inside that room was a document alleging President Biden directly of a $10 million bribery scheme, a $10 million bribery scheme, extremely serious. What happened? What happened a month ago, Mr. Chairman? That document, the FBI arrested the person who offered those allegations for falsifying his testimony to the FBI. This entire impeachment inquiry is based on an actual provable individual who has lied. Now, responsible leadership would withdraw an inquiry based on that. Withdraw it. Instead, what we are seeing is that this committee was warned about the falsehoods of these allegations long before that, warned by Trump's Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, and yet they proceeded anyway. The chairman proceeded anyway. This committee was warned by Rudy Giuliani associate right here, Lev Parnas, after that document about the falsehoods of this. Then held hearings where your own expert witnesses said that there was no grounds for impeachment, and you proceeded anyway. And finally, as if none of this was enough, the FBI arrested the individual who was the source of the entire, to quote the chairman, heart of the matter, to launch this impeachment inquiry, and proceeded anyway. At this point, the story is not the fact that the basis of this impeachment inquiry is wrong. The story is why it's proceeding anyway. Why is this committee proceeding based on false charges? And by the way, no charges. I have yet to hear in the chairman's opening the allegation that they are specifically charging the president of the United States with. I'm hearing about Biden family. I'm hearing about this and that. I am not hearing the specific allegation by this committee. What is it? It's not here. And that is the problem. The story is when this committee knew that they were working with falsified evidence. That's the story. And with that, I yield back.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's truly beautiful. She couldn't even get her part straight. She was so excited to get to the hearing. Listen, if everything that she just said is true and all of this is falsified and fake and made up, and there's no even any crime to charge Joe Biden with here for impeachment, and Republicans only have, what, a 2-seat majority right now, and they were only able to get these impeachment hearings going with the slimmest of 1 vote. If all of that is true, why is she so upset? Why is she so hysterical? Why is she being so animated and screaming? And why does she sound like a chipmunk? When she sounds like a chipmunk, you know she's excited, right? That's part of her tell, with the fingers and the ears and the head bobbing thing going on there. I mean, seriously, ask yourself that very basic question. If it's true that there's nothing there, then why aren't they doing this? And instead, why are they acting like their hair is on fire? Why? There's an old chestnut of a motto. What's the word I'm looking for? Once again, I need to prove that I'm working without a script. There's an old saying that is sort of like everybody says it all the time. When you're a lawyer, they say when you're in a courtroom, you either argue with the facts or if you don't have the facts, then you pound the table, right? You have two ways of arguing your case. You either lay out the truth or you just scream like she just did. You can either be right or you can be wrong. And if you're wrong and then you're loud, then you're amplifying the fact that you're wrong. So the beginning of this entire video is an incredibly important premise that I love that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has now brought it down to this level. Imagine a court of law working this way, especially when it comes to white-collar financial crimes like this, okay? Like, for instance, let's use the AOC standard here with regard to tax law. Let's say the IRS comes after you and they claim that you have submitted a false return and you haven't paid your taxes. All you have to do is present the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez defense. Here it is.
I have a quick question. Simple. Is it your testimony today that you personally witnessed President Joe Biden commit a crime?
There you go. Unless somebody personally witnessed you commit that crime, they got nothing on you. This is the new standard. It's the AOC standard. It's going to completely upturn the way we prosecute crimes in America. They're going to come after you for tax fraud, and you're going to say, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not saying I did commit tax fraud. I'm not saying I didn't commit tax fraud. But did you personally witness me committing tax fraud? Well, sir, I've got the paperwork right here. This shows that your income was this amount, and this is the amount that you reported on your form. Whoa, 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 whoa. But did you see me personally fill out that form? You got nothing on me, pal. There you go. That's the new AOC standard. But of course, they've got a lot on Joe Biden. And the idea that they have not actually stated in the impeachment inquiry what the crime is a complete and total fake fabrication and red herring. When they actually lay out articles of impeachment where they actually charge the president with high crimes and misdemeanors, then yes, they will articulate what those crimes are. But this is an inquiry. They're looking into whether what the president did, what the president knew, what the president allowed rises to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors. Now, since Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a Democrat and she has been part and parcel to two impeachment proceedings against Donald Trump, I guess we can forgive her for not understanding how this thing works. But in the real world of an impeachment inquiry, you're actually supposed to go through the process of acquiring evidence that support the fact that there was a crime before you impeach somebody, something they didn't bother to do against Donald Trump those two times. So I get it that this is all very new to her. But then there's the soundbite heard around the world. When Tony Bobulinski actually when Tony Bobulinski actually said, oh yeah, we got a crime, it's called RICO. And AOC's response was, well, one for the history books.
What is
It's
the
a category of crimes that you're
Sorry.
corruption statutes, RICO and conspiracy.
What is it? What is the crime, sir?
You
Specifically.
you asked me to answer the question. I answered the question.
No.
RICO, you're obviously not familiar with. Corruption
Excuse me,
statutes.
sir. Excuse me,
FARA.
sir. Excuse me, sir. RICO is not a crime. It is a category.
It's the condescending tone, the head bob, and then the over enunciation of category. She's just delightful. She's not very smart. She's not a lawyer. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. But you know what? I'm not a lawyer either. If only we had a lawyer who actually knew what they were talking about. Oh, we do. Greg Jarrett, who was on Fox News this morning, and Peter Doocy asked the question that I'm sure is on the tip of everybody's tongue after that exchange.
Is RICO not a crime? It's absolutely a crime. 18 U.S.C. 1961 through 68. She might try bothering to read it. But, you know, this comment by AOC just added to the growing list of stupefying remarks by her. This one truly mind-boggling. The very word racketeering in its acronym conjures up serious criminality. But this is a pattern with AOC. Whenever she opens her mouth, she tends to embarrass herself with a fundamental lack of knowledge.
It's true, but at the same time, we're begging Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to keep it up, because the fact of the matter is, every time she does that and opens her mouth when there's a camera running and shows her fundamental lack of knowledge, but she does it with such a confident and arrogant way, every time she does it, it becomes great content for this program. So I agree with you, Greg Jarrett. She's an absolute and total dangerous moron, but keep doing what you're doing, AOC. We need you on that wall. Also, very important evidence that she just provided for the Trump defense team, because I'm thinking they're going to provide their own sort of motion for dismissal down in Fulton County, considering the fact that he is facing charges under the RICO statute. They are literally going after the president, his lawyers, and his advisors under the RICO statute with regard to his attempts to get a valid and believable electoral count in the 2020 presidential election. But now that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has told the world that RICO is in fact not criminal activity or a crime, I guess Mr. Trump can just save everybody in Fulton County a lot of time and money, and he can be dismissed. We'll see if they actually go ahead and do that. But the stupidity didn't end there in the hearings down there with the Tony Bobulinski testimony. Here is one of our favorites, Eric Swalwell. And I want you to know that the video that you're about to see, all part of Eric Swalwell's testimony and his pushback against Tony Bobulinski, this was celebrated. Democrats thought this was a home run. Democrats thought Eric Swalwell was their champion. They thought he was the greatest thing on earth with his display and performance art in this hearing. I'll let you be the judge.
It's time to pack it up. And I want to give you the top 10 reasons why impeachment is dead. Number 10, your key witness today is testifying from the slammer. Number 9, key evidence of a bribe that you all relied on. The guy who said that has been indicted for lying about that bribe, and he's a Russian asset. Number 8, another key witness has been indicted as a Chinese agent. Number 7, during the Hunter Biden interview, Mr. Chairman, you didn't even stay for the whole time. Number 6, Chairman Jason Smith didn't show up at all to the Hunter Biden interview. The same day, number 5, Darrell Issa said, it's a big nothing. Number 4, today, Jim Jordan began his remarks not by relying on any evidence for this investigation, but he went off attacking the DOJ about what they're doing with the Catholics. Number 3, you all still have not sent the articles of impeachment for the Mayorkas impeachment to the Senate, and that happened last month. Number 2, you're now talking about a criminal referral, but if you had evidence for a criminal referral, then you have evidence to impeach somebody for high crimes and misdemeanors. And number 1, and I'm sorry to say this, Fox News isn't even carrying this today. In fact, one of their anchors, as they broke away 10 minutes in, said, this is the same hearing over and over and over. At what point are you going to fish or cut bait? So I just have to tell you, it's over. Impeachment's over. Dunzo. Bye-bye. Rigor mortis. Lights out. Curtain drop. Mic drop, peace, adios, sayonara, au revoir, or a language that you all understand, doi sivdanya. Did I say that right, Mr. Parnas?
Yes.
I dare you to impeach, but you won't because you don't have the evidence. And because you don't have the evidence, you don't have the votes. Guys, it's dead. And so I'm here to pronounce the time of death. $5:16.
Say it in Chinese.
Impeachment is dead. 5:16. Biden impeachment's dead. Joe Biden has been acquitted.
What a complete and total fool and a clown. But did you catch that very last part where he said goodbye in multiple languages, including, did you get it, in Russian, because, it's all a Russian operation. Did you hear what Representative Anna Paulina Luna said there at the very end? Listen again.
.516.
Say it in Chinese.
Impeachment is dead.
Say it in Chinese. It's funny because, he was Stuppen Fang Fang, a Chinese spy. I love that the Democrats keep thinking that he in some way is this a paragon of virtue and the perfect person to be making these arguments on their behalf when he's the worst kind of punchline for things like this. It tells you the bubble that they're in. But Representative Mike Waltz of Florida, he had his time right after Swalwell, and he made the most of it.
Mr. Chairman, and I find it incredibly rich. Mr. Swalwell is going to come to this committee and lecture us about how China penetrates our government. I think that's something he may know a thing or two about, but let's talk about how China has penetrated the highest levels of this government.
Now, I like Congressman Waltz, and I think that was a great line, but to be fair, my guess is, based on the rumors and stories that I've heard, technically it was Swalwell doing the penetrating.
You don't know
But
that.
Well, I guess that's right. You're right, Kevin. I don't officially know that. Who knows what could have been going on there? I'm going to add that to the list for confession this Saturday. All right, here, let's go with Michael.
Including this president and this White House, because I think the visual is incredibly important. Mr. Bobulinski, Hunter Biden portrayed Chairman Yi, the chairman of CEFC, to Jim Biden as a protege of Xi. Is that accurate?
Not only is it accurate, and it wasn't just Hunter Biden, it was James Gilliar, Rob Walker. I wouldn't have used the word protege. They just basically,
You don't run China's largest state-owned energy company without being close to Chairman Xi.
Correct.
Right, fair enough. And by the mid-2000s, Chairman Ye ran a business empire estimated, as much as you can estimate a Chinese state-owned enterprise, tens of billions, including, and from a national security standpoint, this is the critical piece here, including implementing China's Belt and Road Initiative, not just all over the world, right here in the United States. Is that accurate?
100%. So CFC was effectively the shadow arm of the Chinese government, deploying tens of billions of dollars around the world, very well documented. At its peak, I think it was doing $50 billion of revenue per year, one of the top 5 largest.
Debt diplomacy, where they are taking electrical grids, they are bribing officials, they take as collateral, not just grids, ports, airports, key infrastructure that the Chinese government could then leverage and use against any country, but also here in the United States. I mean, that's how the Belt and Road Initiative works. Heck, I was just in the Armed Services Committee with the commander of Indo-PACOM, our Pacific Command, talking about how China is basically gobbling up infrastructure around the world, including here. So by the mid, 2015, 2016, Hunter Biden's developed a very lucrative business relationship. By 2017, Hunter Biden's forged such a partnership with Chairman Ye that he planned to share an office space with him, and then just removed Vice President Biden at the House of Sweden in Washington, D.C., correct?
Correct.
So here's what's interesting, and building on Chairman Fox's questions, within days of him leaving the vice presidency, ostensibly for work performed, $3 million flows through these shell companies that we've depicted here. I mean, you could see how complicated this is, but the key piece is the flow to Hallie Biden, to Jim and Sarah Biden, to Hunter Biden and his various affiliates. And the kicker here, Mr. Chairman, is that we know Hunter is then complaining about paying all his dad's bills. He's complaining to the other relatives saying, you freeloaders, I'm having to use all this money to pay the big guy's bills, house renovations and all kinds of things, correct?
That's correct. And Liz, this goes on for a few more minutes, and I wanted to show it to you because what you're seeing on the screen here, and let's go a little larger with it if we could. As you can see, you've got China, you've got Chairman Ye, who had the direct relationship and the financial relationship and tons of communications with Hunter Biden. And then on the bottom part of the screen there in red, you see the money being exchanged. You see money going to these various shell companies and then flowing to, follow those red lines, to the people on the right hand of the screen. At the top, of course, Hunter Biden. Just below that is Joe Biden's brother, James Biden. And just below that is Hallie Biden, the daughter. And of course, we don't know who else was the big guy. Whoever the big guy is got some money too. And as Mike Waltz just said, Congressman Mike Waltz just said, we have contemporaneous text messages of Hunter Biden saying, I got to pay all of dad's bills. Now, I show this to you to explain why you just saw AOC and Eric Swalwell, and we're going to show you one more of the Democrats going completely insane yesterday. They were creating a show. Remember, I said, why aren't they just acting like this? Why aren't they acting like that? If this really is nothing, why don't they act like it's nothing? Well, because they know it's not nothing. They know how real this is. They know how serious this is. And they had a job to do yesterday. Their job was to set their hair on fire and to do a circus act so that got the attention. And this wouldn't get the attention. And in some circles, it worked, but not here. Not here. Sure, we showed the circus, but now we're showing you exactly why that circus act was performed. There are serious, serious crimes at hand here. And I go back to the proposition that we made yesterday. We absolutely have direct evidence, paperwork, complete paper trails, wire transfers, deposits, 100% showing money flowing to the companies owned by Hunter Biden, James Biden, and other members of the Biden family. We know that. You saw Eric Swalwell just there say, well, some of your key witnesses are in jail. Yeah, those key witnesses in jail were the business partners. So clearly they did something illegal. And they're the ones that Hunter and James Biden decided to do business with. They're the ones that Joe Biden would have communications with all the time, those criminals. So I'm sorry, you're not helping your cause here to diminish these proceedings by saying, hey, half these people are crooks. Yeah, those crooks were the business partners of the president's son. They don't want you to see any of that because this is very real and this is very serious. And all of the evidence shows exactly the criminal enterprise. And the proposition I laid out yesterday is that either all of that was going on, and Joe Biden, of course, after decades in Washington, D.C., literally writing some of the laws pertaining to corruption and selling influence, either he, of course, knew about it, or he's a complete and total moron. A completely out to lunch, is not aware of what time of day it is, had no idea, literally a dunce with some sort of mental disability that he could not figure out what his son and his brother was doing. But I guess they always use this term, plausible deniability. It's deniability, but it's just not plausible. And that's why instead of actually debating the facts as laid out here and actually contesting the evidence, instead, well, they gave you the circus. Like this.
It is the bondless, broke bluffer, twice impeached, 4 times indicted, insurrection initiator, election denying, self-declared dictator on day one, and puppet for Putin. The one who wants to terminate the Constitution and defund the FBI. The one who romanticized exchanging of love letters with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. The one who just last week embraced autocrat Orban of Hungary to discuss their diabolical plans to destroy our democracy. The one who proposed a policy to ban Muslims from this country. The one who just this week said any Jewish person who votes for a Democrat hates their religion and Israel. The one who called neo-Nazis carrying tiki torches chanting, Jews will not replace us, good people. The one who referred to African nations as, I quote, whole countries. The one who called NFL players, the majority whom are black, sons of for taking a knee in protest of the ever-present racial inequality and police brutality that continues to pervade our justice system. The one who called Mexicans rapists and promised to build a wall and have them pay for it, and in case you missed it, it didn't happen. The one who told women of color from born in the United States, elected to Congress and serving on this very committee, to go back to their own countries. The one who bragged about grabbing women by their private parts. The one who confused his rape victim, whom he claimed was not his type, for his very own ex-wife. The one who is an admitted and committed adulterer who attempted to pay off a porn star for her silence. The one who has publicly mocked people with disabilities. The one who dodged the draft and referred to prisoners of war as losers.
She goes on for 2 more minutes, and I'll spare you because I think you get the point. Not only does she refuse to actually address any of the evidence that's being presented here or even attempt to explain it away, she doesn't just change the subject the way AOC and Eric Swalwell did. She changes the subject all the way over to who? To the big bad orange man. And they think this works. And hey, maybe it does. Maybe it does for the viewers of MSNBC and CNN, and maybe it works in the editorial room at the New York Times. It doesn't work in America. It doesn't work where you're still having to pay twice as much for gas, and you still have to hunt to find baby formula on the shelves, and you see good people being sent away to jail when the Hunter Biden family gets away with it. They may think it works, but it doesn't. You know how sometimes I tell you that a meme says it all in just one graphic, in just one picture, where you don't have to deliver a big monologue. You can just show a meme and it tells you everything you need to know. Yeah. Here's how the Democrats view 2 major issues before us right now. The person on the left can't remember what year, lied about the dress she wore, and the story that she told in a court of law is literally a plot line from a Law and Order episode. She gets $83 million and is celebrated as a hero. The man on the right, who also, by the way, happens to be a veteran of the Navy and a graduate of the Navy Nuclear Power School, one of the hardest educational processes you'll have to go through in this country. He has dates, he has texts, he has emails, he has recordings, he has eyewitness accounts. And as you saw from his testimony, he was recounting much of it, not from looking at notes, but just remembering off the top of his head. I think he's a bit of a savant. He's the person the Democrats call a liar. And by the way, if he is, why is he the only one who was a business partner of Hunter Biden's who isn't in jail? Do you think maybe if they had any sort of criminal activity on him, he'd be locked away? I guarantee you he would. Guaranteed. Yeah, that image right there says it all. Now, a quick word from our friends at the Electronic Payments Coalition. Millions of Americans earn and use credit card rewards. Corporate megastores, they want to take those rewards away. Rewards we use on groceries and school supplies, cash back to save on gas and grow our small businesses, travel miles we use to make memories. The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill in the Senate right now would eliminate those credit card rewards. No more travel miles, no more cash back. Lawmakers helping corporate megastores line their pockets, and we Americans, our families, are the ones who have to pay for it. It's wrong. Tell your senators to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. Go to handsoffmyrewards.com. Get all the information about this. Find out how you can reach out to your senator. All the tools are there for you to take action today. That's handsoffmyrewards.com. All right. At the University of Memphis, Kyle Rittenhouse was giving a speech. He was part of a presentation from Turning Point USA. I don't know why I do that. I call them Talking Points USA. Charlie Kirk's operation, Young Conservatives, trying to spread the word on college campuses about conservative ideas, conservative values. And of course, Kyle Rittenhouse, a great representative, not just of the Second Amendment right of self-defense, but also a young man who saw a city burning in the BLM riots and decided that he wanted to help and protect some of the business owners there from losing their livelihood. And and then he was attacked. He was attacked by a handful of criminals and pedophiles, and he defended himself. Jury of his peers found him not guilty. And so, of course, when he appeared at the University of Memphis to give his presentation, the BLM protesters came out in full force. They wanted to silence him. They wanted to intimidate him. They wanted to wreak havoc. This image tells you everything you need to know. These are the woke college students from Black Lives Matters who are celebrating the three aforementioned criminals and pedophiles. And I want to reiterate, Mr. Rittenhouse was charged, he was tried, and a jury found him not guilty. But according to these people getting their college education so that they can become, lawyers for the Justice Department, the real heroes are the criminals, pedophiles, who a jury found were trying to take Kyle Rittenhouse's gun to use against him. This is what the scene looked like as the protesters were outside the... All right, so if you can't hear the chant as they're beating on the trash cans there, it's, hey, lock his ass up. Hey, lock his ass up. Hey, lock his ass up. These are people who believe in justice, right? No justice, no peace. Justice, justice, justice. Justice is exactly what I just described. Kyle Rittenhouse was arrested. He was charged. He was tried. Jury found him not guilty. We all saw it on TV daily. But it doesn't matter. We want to lock his ass up because we have decided that he's guilty. Remember when we were all chanting and screaming and rioting about O.J. Simpson? Lock his ass up? Yeah, why didn't we do that? All right, so the protesters are outside. They've got their signs, and the presentation is going on inside, right? Well, some of these people somehow got tickets to the presentation inside, and in the middle of Kyle Rittenhouse's speech, they did this.
What lie? What lie? What lie? What lie? Tell me the lies of Black Lives Matter. Tell me the lie you finna talk about. Go ahead, speak. I was sitting down and I was listening to you. But tell time I was, man, shut I know we good. But don't sit here and talk to me like that. Don't sit here and talk to me
All right, you're going to walk out, stop wasting everybody's time. You're going to sit down and be respectful.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Listen, in this day and age, there's not a lot that many of us can agree on, right? The right, the left, the conservatives, the wokes, the anarchists and Marxists versus the liberty-loving, freedom-loving Americans. It feels like we can't bridge the gap on anything. But could we please agree on one thing? Can we agree that this skirt is just way too short? Seriously. Come on. Hold on. Here we go. Hold on, get out of the way, man. There, can we blow that up? Can we yeah. I'm sorry. Just meet me halfway here. Let's just hold hands and agree on one thing, just one thing. That skirt is way too short. I mean, that you had 2 inches and it's still too short. Stop the madness. All right, so that's what happened inside. And then the Black Lives Matter protesters who had made their way inside got escorted out. By the way, most of this footage is all from our buddy Julio Rosas. Julio Rosas, formerly of Town Hall. Now he's got his own little shingle that he's put out there. It is mostly peaceful is his Substack. You might want to check it out. So this is the video of all of the BLM protesters who were in there that had infiltrated. They're being ushered out of the lobby at the University of Memphis. By the way, it's like March Madness time. Why are these guys worried about this stuff? They should be getting ready for basketball. All right, so they got ushered out of the lobby. Julio was there with his camera. He caught it. And then he followed them outside. And you think it's all over, right? It's done. They were protesting outside. They went inside. They interrupted the speech. They said their word, protest, political protest, fist in the air. Now let's go back to the dorm. Let's chug down some seltzers, maybe smoke a bong, and we'll call it a day, right? After the speech, they were lying in wait, waiting by the loading dock or by the stage door, waiting for Kyle Rittenhouse and the staff members of Turning Point USA to leave to go to their cars to drive out.
No justice, nigga. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No justice.
No justice, no peace. God bless those police officers, by the way, and the security guards, most of them black, if you noticed, who did a great job of protecting Kyle and the people from Turning Point who were, exercising their First Amendment rights. But you saw not only were they lying in wait, but as soon as they emerged, they went booking in there and charging them into the parking garage. And I'd love to tell you that that's where it ended, but it didn't, because they found them in the parking garage and went after them as they were getting to their cars.
Definitely fuck you, boy. Hit us. Hit us. Hit us. Hit us. Hit us.
Did you see the guy going right up to the pickup saying, hit us, come on, hit us. Kind of inciting violence, wouldn't you say? At the very least. I'd love to tell you that that's where it ends too, but it doesn't. As the police were clearing the garage out, there was mayhem as protesters were running out, trying to catch up to the truck and trying to catch up to the Turning Point people and continue to harass them. And as you watch the scene, you're going to see a woman who had a toddler with her. She's Mother of the Year, this woman, literally dragging her kid because it's that important for her to be a frothing at the mouth, maniac, Black Lives Matter agitator. Look at that. Look at that, literally dragging her child on the sidewalk. Take that kid away. It's disgusting. It's despicable. There's two sides to every argument, I'm always told. And you got to do your best to walk around the man that you're arguing with and see the world through their eyes and from their perspective so you can understand them better, and maybe that'll help things out. But when you see this, you realize, yeah, there are two sides to every argument, and sometimes it's just as simple as one side is good and one side is bad. And when your anger and your political motivations have gotten you to the point where you are dragging a little toddler girl along by the arm, nearly pulling it out of her socket, so you can satisfy your impassioned fury, you're on the bad side of the issue. Kyle Rittenhouse eventually, when he got back to his hotel room, posted a video telling his friends and followers and supporters that he was fine.
Hey guys, so we just got back from Memphis University. I'm with Byron, who's helping me with my security today. Huge shout out to him and his team, and Odin, K9 Odin. It was quite interesting watching the videos and seeing some of the articles from the media saying that I got there at 4 o'clock. And
we're wizards.
Exactly. What were we
Crazy.
doing sitting at a Bass Pro Shops at 4 o'clock?
We're at Bass Pro at 4 o'clock.
But anyways, great event. And I think it's funny that a lot of the media is saying we got booed off stage. In reality, we did a hard cutoff time and just happened to leave at that. Great event. Interesting people, to say the least. And both dogs, Milo and Odin, did a great job working together.
Absolutely, they did.
Absolutely. Be sure to check out BTS K9 if you want a dog like Milo or Odin.
Get at them, guys. Stay safe.
All right, good for them, and I'm glad they're safe. Here's the deal. This is why this means something even bigger than just what happened at Memphis and what happened to Kyle Rittenhouse, because this actually transcends Kyle Rittenhouse. If you believe in free speech, if you believe in multiple political perspectives being expressed in this country, and especially on college campuses, if you or your child or your brothers and sisters or anyone in your life, your grandchildren, your nieces or nephews, are currently going to college, and you want them to have an experience where multiple ideas and political perspectives are expressed, you should be incredibly pissed off about what happened right here. It's not about Kyle, and it's not about Turning Point USA. It's about any conservative or anybody who is contrary to the dogmatic, woke, totalitarian left that dominates college campuses like Memphis or Harvard or pretty much anywhere other than Hillsdale. Because the next time anyone wants to give a speech, whether it's Charlie Kirk or Kyle Rittenhouse with Turning Point USA, or Ben Shapiro or me with Young America's Foundation, or just a guest speaker brought in by the college Republicans or the college pro-life coalition or anybody, the next time someone from the conservative political spectrum is invited to a college campus, the administration, they hate this, right? The administration doesn't want Ben Shapiro on their campus, doesn't want Matt Walsh on their campus, doesn't want Larry O'Connor on their campus. But they know they can't say that. They know they can't do anything about it. They know they can't say, nope, no conservatives, only crazy left-wing Marxist liberals are allowed here. They're not allowed to say that. Not yet. They'd love to, but they can't. So instead, here's what they do. Well, of course, we support free speech and we support the ideas, and we'll certainly support this presentation, but there are security concerns. We need to be concerned about the safety and security of the student body. It's incredibly important. So, of course, Turning Point USA, Young America's Foundation, Pro-Life America, of course, you can have your presentation here on campus, but it's going to cost you an extra $25,000 for security and police support. Oh, you don't have $25,000? I'm sorry. We would have loved to have that speech, but I guess now you can't. Thanks for playing. That's what that's all about. That's exactly what that's all about. And it's outright authoritarian Marxism. And it works. It works until you know about it, and then you do something about it. All right. Yesterday on Capitol Hill in the Senate, one of our favorites, one of our absolute favorites, Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, he had 2 different hearings. This is like going to Disneyland and winning the lottery on the same day. One of them was a confirmation hearing, and the other one was a hearing about climate change. 2 things that John Kennedy is really, really, really good at. So let's start here with a judge who the Biden administration is trying to elevate to a higher federal court. And there were big headlines about this nomination last month because it's in the Chicago area, and the judge in question here is Latina. And last time we checked, the Biden campaign is very interested in trying to bolster their credibility with the Latina and Latino populations. Because right now, if you're born of Latin descent or if you're Hispanic in this country, you're not very happy. You're not very happy about all of the things that most Americans are not happy with. But when it comes to the border, you're super ticked off. Because in many respects, you actually followed the laws and you came here legally. And now you're seeing what this guy is doing for all these people who are jumping in line and breaking the law. Also, you're not very happy because all the criminals who are coming in right now across the border, they're living in your neighborhood and they're criminals. And so it's not very safe for your neighborhood. So we gotta pay them off somehow. We gotta bolster our cred. We gotta have a talking point at the convention. So let's nominate this new, big, exciting, young Latina judge and elevator to the appeals court. The only problem is she has to get confirmed by the Senate, and that's where John Kennedy comes in, because John Kennedy asks questions. And the questions he asks aren't, tell me about how great it is to be a Latina judge. No, he asks questions like this.
When you were a partner in your law firm, you volunteered to write a brief on behalf of the Brady Center. You wrote the brief, and this is what you said. You volunteered for this. You weren't being paid. Is that right?
This was a pro bono case that one of my partners brought in, yes.
You said, quote, assault weapons may be banned because they're extraordinarily dangerous and are not appropriate for legitimate self-defense purposes, close quote. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Just to clarify, there, I was local counsel. Our Supreme.
But you wrote the brief. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Senator Kennedy, actually, I did not write the brief. The brief was written by.
You signed the brief, though, didn't you?
Correct. I signed the brief.
You sign a brief, you're testifying to the court that everything in it is true, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That and I.
So they're your words in terms of the court, right?
Well, you're correct, Senator Kennedy.
Okay.
I would never
Tell me
sign.
what you meant by assault weapons.
So I am not a gun expert, and at the time, that brief I think was about 10 years.
Given the court advice about, say, ban assault weapons. What is? You told the court you were an expert. Just tell me what you wanted to ban.
Senator, sitting here today, as I said, I did not write that brief. I was local counsel.
Sign the brief.
I understand. At the time,
Tell me what you wanted to ban. That's all I want to know.
I don't remember the exact definition of assault weapons in the ordinance that was at issue.
So you submitted a brief to an appellate brief. You signed it, and you don't know what. And you said abolish assault weapons, and you don't know what you wanted them to abolish.
Senator, at the time that I signed the brief, I read the brief because our Supreme Court required an Illinois bar member to sign the brief. I was not responsible for researching the content.
You were responsible for the brief.
Absolutely. And sitting here today, I do not remember the characteristics of that were cited in the ordinance for the assault weapons ban. It's not an area of practice that I have specialized in. I'm sure 10 years ago, I could have answered your question.
And
but sitting here today,
you think you deserve to be promoted? with this record.
Senator, I stand by my record. I stand by my record.
That's actually my favorite part of the whole thing. After he's reduced her to a babbling, incoherent lump of flesh. And the entire time she's saying, well, I put my name on it, but I didn't write it. I didn't write it. I didn't research it. I don't know when it's in it. And I certainly can't remember anything what is in it, but I stand by my record. You stand by what exactly? You stand by the thing that you now claim you didn't write, didn't read, didn't research, and can't remember. But you stand by it, whatever it is. Also, by the way, in case you didn't notice, I think it's important for me to point out, she's lying. She's 1,000% lying. Let me ask you something. If you were a judge and you signed your name on a brief to the court demanding that a certain kind of weapon be banned, thus infringing upon people's Second Amendment rights, and this is obviously something that is contested on a regular basis in the courts. This is not, anyone who tells you, well, this isn't a violation of the Second Amendment is an outright liar or an imbecile, possibly both. But if you're a judge, you put your name on this thing saying absolutely ban assault weapons. You're telling me you don't know what you're talking about? You're telling me you don't have a good work at. Listen, maybe she didn't. Maybe she had no idea what she was talking about. Maybe she had no idea how assault weapons were defined in this document. That frankly makes it worse. But you're telling me this is a one-off and then she never thought about it again? You're telling me that 10 years later it doesn't have an indelible memory ingrained into your head? Absolutely, I put my name on it. And yes, we should ban those things. This is what it is, and this is what should be banned. She's lying. She's lying, 1,000% lying. And it's not like over the last 10 years, this issue hasn't come up, because it comes up every freaking month because Democrats raise a ton of money over it. And as I've told you before, the dirty little secret, they don't want to ban so-called assault weapons. They don't want to do that. They want the issues so they can raise money and they can highlight divisions in this country and pit Americans against each other. That's why they want this issue. If they really thought that the Second Amendment and private gun ownership was the real problem and the real root cause and the reason why we have violent gun deaths in America, then they would show their balls and move to repeal the Second Amendment. But they don't, because they don't. And they don't have any. Except for their women, like Dylan Mulvaney. They've got some. But they don't use them for that reason. All right, let's move on. Because John Kennedy wasn't done. He then moved on to another hearing, and this one is just glorious. This one has to do with climate change, and most importantly, carbon dioxide emissions. And the Democrats, I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, I do know what they were thinking. They had as one of their star witnesses an Olympic cross-country skier who I think has some sort of Instagram or TikTok social media profile, or he's an influencer or something. But he's a cross-country skier. And politicians do this. It's not exclusive to the Democrats. They put a famous person up there. They end up being a witness. They get to hang out with them in their chambers. They take pictures, makes them feel cool. That's fine. And usually it's about an issue that, for the most part, they can speak on. And usually they don't put them in a hearing where Senator John Kennedy is asking the questions. John Kennedy takes this whole carbon dioxide thing pretty seriously because he's from Louisiana, where they've got a whole lot of refineries. In fact, I think it's one of the few places in this country where we still refine oil into gasoline. They also have a major port where they import and export crude oil in this country. So carbon dioxide emissions mean a lot to him and his voters. And I don't care if you're a movie star, I don't care if you're a meteorologist or some sort of particle scientist, or if you're a cross-country skier. If you don't come with facts and preparation to answer questions, you're going to end up as Senator John Kennedy's lunch. And that's what happened to this poor guy.
What is carbon dioxide?
I went to high school, but that's got Carbon dioxide is a gas.
Okay.
I'm not a professional to talk about carbon dioxide so much, but
Well, you want us to abolish it, right?
no, there's always going to be carbon dioxide.
Right. So what is it you want us to do?
Let
me back up, because I want to, I mean, you're here as an expert. Tell me more about what carbon dioxide is.
I'm here as an expert cross-country skier who sees the changes in my winters and the landscape that I live in Alaska. And so carbon dioxide is what I see it as is, it's a gas that exists in our atmosphere. And
is it the major part of our atmosphere? Or?
It's a huge part of our atmosphere, yes.
It's actually a very small part of our atmosphere.
Well, okay. But, yeah, I don't know. What are you asking specifically?
Well, you say we need to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. I'd like to know first if you know what it is. You want us to abolish fossil fuels?
I never said that.
You never have said that?
No.
Okay. What do you think we ought to do with fossil fuels?
What will we do with fossil fuels?
Yeah. Should we make any changes?
I would like to see a decrease in the use of fossil fuels. I think there's a possibility to use more electric generation.
Okay. Over what period of time? 10 years, 50 years, 100 years?
That's not, I would like to see it come as fast as possible while continuing.
How fast?
Sorry?
How fast?
I don't have a
You don't know
for that. No.
Okay. You just think, well, how much will it cost for us to become carbon neutral in the United States by 2050?
I'm not a professional on that. I don't have an answer.
You don't have any idea?
No.
You just think we ought to spend the money?
I'm not an economist.
Yeah, but it's going to cost money. You realize that?
Yeah, but we've also talked about the trade-off of what the cost of climate change as emergencies will cost in the future also. So
right, but it's going to cost trillions of dollars to become carbon neutral by 2050, right?
I do not know.
You don't know. You just think we ought to do it.
I don't have a great answer for you, but I think I would.
If we spent those trillions of dollars and became carbon neutral by 2050 in the United States, which you advocate, how much will it reduce world temperatures?
I don't have an answer for that.
You don't know?
No.
You just think we ought to spend the money and then see what happens?
I think as an athlete, I think if we spend that money and invest in our future, hopefully those temperatures stop rising and maybe the snow at least stabilizes where it is for me. But yeah, I don't think anyone knows for sure. I don't know anyway.
Well, when my colleagues invite witnesses to come to us to tell us, advise us on passing legislation, I always check out the background of our witnesses because I like to know who I'm talking to.
Now, I've seen enough of these John Kennedy investigations and queries at a committee hearing to know that what's about to happen is going to be glorious. Already, he has absolutely slam dunked on this guy. Like it's a poster. He's like, it's beyond ugly. But now Senator Kennedy is going to delve into some of the past social media utterances of the young man sitting before him as an expert witness. And he shied away from it. I'm not an expert on the carbon dioxide, and I'm not an expert on that. Here, you know what he's an expert on? He's an expert on the fact that where he trains in cross-country skiing, there's less snow than there was a couple of years ago. That's what he's an expert on. And of course, you and I probably reached the logical conclusion that, well, maybe the winters haven't been as bad as they were before. And if you need to keep training, maybe you should go, further north or further inland or maybe somewhere else to train because there's plenty of other places that have snow. Go where the snow is. It's the old Sam Kinison joke, when you go to the starving Ethiopians in the desert and say, move! We've got deserts in America too. We just don't live there because you can't grow anything here. You're whining at me about the lack of snow because you can't cross-country ski, you poor baby? Move! All right. That said, what you're about to watch It's the cherry on top.
I checked yours out, Mr. Schumacher, and I want to be sure I understand it as I evaluate your testimony. On June 8th, 2020, you tweeted, I'm going to quote, "The war on drugs was intentionally created to incarcerate Black people en masse," end quote. The war on drugs, you said, was intentionally created to incarcerate Black people en masse. Who intentionally created the war on drugs to put Black people in jail? Who were you talking about?
I don't remember typing that.
You don't?
No,
It's on your Twitter feed.
maybe a retweet. I don't know. I haven't used that in a while.
Well,
Also, it
even if
doesn't
it's a
seem like
retweet, it shows your support, right?
Maybe, yeah. But it's not the topic of this conversation.
Right, right. But it has to do with, you're here giving us advice, and I just kind of like to know a little bit more about your
Yeah,
point of view.
I'm here as an athlete giving you my story and what I've
Okay.
seen in my
On
field.
August 27th of 2020, you tweeted this, quote, I'm going to quote, "Police are paid with taxpayer dollars. If they are not answerable to us, we can demand new service, and that's what this is. Abolish the police in favor of that new service," end quote. You think we ought to abolish the police, do you?
Again, not the topic I'm here to talk about today.
I know, but you tweeted it. Do you think we ought to abolish the police?
That's not what I'm here to talk about.
Should we do that before or after we get rid of fossil fuels?
I'm not going to address that. That's,
You don't want to address it? Okay. Let me ask you about one more of your tweets.
You know, real fast, and we will get to the last one because it's too good. What kind of weakling, righteous, woke stud like this shrinks into the corner and turns into a little schoolgirl when confronted with his own absolutely righteous opinions? I mean, this guy likes to parade around and join the mob, right? With all of his opinions, you know, abolish the police, and they're just trying to incarcerate Black people, and we got to kill fossil fuels, and like everything, right? Everything. And he gets all the glory and all the attention. And here's his moment, man. This is his big moment, not on Twitter, not on TikTok. He's sitting there in a committee room at the United States Senate talking to the man. I mean, not only is this a senator, but it's an old white dude from the South, a Republican. Stand up, brother. Stand up and tell the man exactly what he's got to hear. And what does he say? I'm just here as an athlete. I'm not going to address that. I'm not going to address that. What a P word, let's say. All right, go ahead, Senator Kennedy.
On August 26, 2020, you tweeted, there's a picture. I'm not going to describe the picture, but you said, quote, your words, not mine. It's on your Twitter feed. Quote, "This is what systemic racism looks like. The Los Angeles Police Department is literally policing only the Black Lives Matter side," end quote. What do you mean by that?
This is still off topic.
No, it's not. You're here as an expert telling us, advising us, and I'm asking you about your background.
I'm here as an athlete to talk about the effects of climate change on my sport.
Okay, let's go back. Well, I'm almost out of
Senator,
time.
you're well out of time, and we have other senators waiting, so please
Okay.
wrap up when you have a moment.
All right. Thank you all for your testimony.
Sheldon Whitehouse, the chair. You think Whitehouse is going to do this again? You think the next time one of his members comes up, one of the other senators, and said, "Hey, Sheldon, I got this really cool influencer. He's a professional ballroom dancer, and he wants to talk about the environmental impact of air conditioning. God, it's going to be great for TV. Let's put him on." Whitehouse is going to be like, not going to happen. Not this time. Sorry. It's the Kennedy rule. We got the John Kennedy rule now. Never again. You almost felt sorry for that kid. Almost. Until you realize what a priggy little D-bag he is. And then you felt great about it. That's it for today. We'll be back next time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for consuming this however you're consuming it. We'll see you next time. In the meantime, though, my name's Larry O'Connor. Call me Larry.